you don't get the same type of quality of medical education that you would get in the United States. So it's worth to pay the $45,000 a semester or a year as opposed to $45,000 for the entire course or the entire time of the medical degree. What would you say to that?
Sure. So the disadvantages of going to medical school in the Dominican Republic. I think one of the things that distinguishes Dominican Republic from the United States is organization. One of the things that you can say about America, the United States, is that they're very well organized. Whatever it is that's happening, they have a well-tuned, well-oiled machine out there. So the medical schools are very well organized. And in the Dominican Republic, the medical schools are organized, but they're not as organized as in the States.
Could you give us an example?
So what that means is, when you have a problem with a professor, in the United States, there's already a protocol in place on how you're going to manage that issue. And usually, that issue is managed according to the protocol. So not only is there a protocol in place, but they also follow that protocol. And so usually if you have a problem, you can find some resolution within the school or other avenues to do that in the United States. In the Dominican Republic, it's not that way. Usually your problems get resolved not based on what the protocol is, because they do have the protocol. Okay. So it's not based on what the protocol is, but it's based on how you interact and the conversations that you have and who you are having the conversations with. That's how you resolve your problems. And so coming from an American system, that can be very, very problematic to know that, a professor is not supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but he is or she is doing X, Y, and Z. And now we need to resolve that issue, and we cannot just go to the dean to resolve it. We may have to try to figure out a way to engage the professor to resolve it, which means that it may not be resolved to meet the standards that you would want to meet. So I think in terms of disadvantages, that's probably the biggest problem. In terms of the actual education of medical school, I think what you would find in all medical schools all around the world is that you always have varying degrees of professor. Like I always say that the student makes the university. The university doesn't make the students. But above the students, what you have is the professors, and I think that they're very influential in terms of forming students. And so within those professors, you have different types of professors. You have professors that you feel are very, very good, and then you have professors that you feel that are very, very bad, and then you have a whole bunch of professors that are either, they're kind of like in the middle. And I don't think there's any difference between that idea. I don't think there's any difference in that idea between the medical professors in the United States versus the medical professors in the Dominican Republic. I think that the medical professors in the Dominican Republic, some of them are good, some of them are not so good, and then you have a whole bunch in the middle. And so you kind of have to work out how you're going to navigate like that education.
Okay.
One thing I would say though, just to kind of get to the end point, is that at the end of the day, the goal is, if you're an American and you want to go to practice in the United States, the end goal has to be you to pass the licensing exams. And so, irrespective of what school you come from, whether it be in the Dominican Republic, whether it be in Brazil, whether it be someplace in Europe, Ukraine,
Cuba,
or whether it be in Cuba, the bottleneck to get into the American system, the medical American system, is passing your licensing exam. And the licensing exam that you have to take is the same licensing exam that a student from Harvard has to take. So there is no difference. They all take the same exam. So if you get 100 and they get 100, what that essentially means is that you have the same amount of information, or you know the same amount of information that a student from Harvard does.
Or qualifications.
Or the same you would end up with the same qualifications. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I would make sure, if I knew that I wanted to become a doctor from the time I was in high school, I would make sure that I would be doing the things necessary to go to medical school in the United States. Because if you want to practice in the United States, you should have the medical schools in the United States prepare you for that practice. And if you want to practice in Dominican Republic, you should go to Dominican Republic to have them prepare you to practice Dominican Republic. That being said, the heart that you study in the United States is the same heart that you're going to study in Dominican Republic.
Heart.
It's the same human heart. They have the same veins, they have the same arteries, they have the same nerves, they have the same lymphatic system. And so the knowledge that you're going to get is still going to be available to you. You still have access to that same information. And how good of a doctor you are is not going to be determined by the school that you go to. It's going to be determined by a whole bunch of other factors. Rent an apartment, a nice apartment, air conditioned, top floor, hot water, you would probably be paying around $300 a month. I mean, that's just kind of like a number that would get you some of those minimal amenities in a nice little area. It would not be a huge apartment, but it would be
area.
It'd be a safe area. It would have the hot water. It may even come with a refrigerator. A lot of the apartments don't come with refrigerators, and it may come with a stove. I mean, you have to really kind of look at the apartment. Sometimes the apartments at that price, when you want to rent it long term, they just come with the 4 walls. So you basically have to furnish everything. Not only do you have to put the bed in there and the living room set in there, but you also have to put in there the stove and maybe even a refrigerator. So it really kind of depends, even for life in the capital, what part of the capital you're living, because the capital is really, really big.
Right.
So I would start there. At around $300, $300 to $400, you can get you a nice little pad where you feel safe going into. Then you have to furnish the place. I don't really have any numbers in terms of how much it would cost to kind of furnish the place.
And then that's all going to determine on what type of furniture people want as well.
Absolutely. What type of fridge, what type of stove.
So with my experience, our brother Jay,
yes,
he had a place, I think he was paying like about $700 a month.
Okay.
And that was in a newer building. I think that was on what floor? The 7th floor? That was
6 or 7.
6 or 7. That was a 1-bedroom apartment, had the AC, it came with the stove, the refrigerator, and it was a pretty upgraded apartment. It was a pretty modern apartment for $700 a month.
Yeah.
So we're looking at $300 to $700 a month for 1-bedroom apartment.
I mean, it could even go more than that. Where he was staying was definitely in the center of the city.
Right.
He was in the center. He was like in the middle of the city. So, like I said, like if you're gonna be where he was at, yes, the price would be double for that.
Right.
If you lived outside of that area, you could find something a little bit more reasonable. But he was really in the middle of the city. He could walk to the waterfront. He could walk to movie theaters.
Right.
He could walk to theatrical productions. He was close to all the main arteries of the city. So that's why he did.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's all what we have. That's all the time we have right now. And I want to thank you for watching. And again, the only true border is your imagination. Thank you for watching.